Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Erica. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. The Metro Theatre was in Highney Street in Adelaide. It was built in 1939 for MGM, and it has been described as traditionally Art Deco in design. The Metro Cinema or theatre was designed by Thomas W. Lamb Incorporated in New York, USA, because of course it was designed for an American company. The local associated architect was F. Kenneth Milne, and the builders were Fricker Brothers. The seating capacity was around about 1,286 patrons. So the Metro was located on the northern side of Highney Street at the corner of Victoria Street. Today, if you went to the same location, you would find a KFC there. It is just a little further west along Highney Street than the Theatre Royal that we spoke about last month. With an exterior described as monumental skyscraper style, this building certainly stands out from all of those surrounding it in this photo. It was actually built to American guidelines, obviously designed by an American company. The roof of the MGM Metro was built to withstand up to 6 foot of snow. Now that is a very unlikely event in Adelaide. We rarely get snow. But I think this just illustrates that this cinema would have been more at home in a city in America. It's very New York looking. It actually looks like a miniature Empire State Building to me. And as I said, it certainly stands out from all the other buildings around it, but I think it actually really stands out from all the other cinemas that were being built in Adelaide at the time as well. Back in March 2021, I had the great pleasure to speak with Alan Hall. Alan had a long and really strong career in theatres in Adelaide, and he was a wealth of knowledge and really happy to share that knowledge with me. Alan previously ran the Ozone Theatre at Semaphore and the Oxford Cinema at Unley. Now, if you would like to read my interview, please head to the links that I will post on a slide further along. I've actually broken it into two parts, this interview, where he basically talks a lot about the Ozone and then a lot about the Oxford, but he also shares other memories of his career in picture theatres. Now, Alan was the person that advised me of the snow roof design, but he also mentioned, and I think this says that somehow the design of the theatre from America, the design and then the application, somehow there was a change in that, because he mentions that the projection angle in the Metro was pretty severe, and then the Metro had the most insane projection angle, and that they actually had to lay the screen back slightly in order to accommodate the focus. Otherwise it would have been out of focus in one place or another on the screen for the patrons. And they actually also had to use masking to make it look as though it was square for the patrons. So that tells me that somewhere the interpretation of the design and the application, something changed. So here we're looking at a blueprint of the interior of the Metro in Highney Street. We can see from this how elaborate the design was. Now, I was able to access these drawings from the University of South Australia Architecture Museum. This is a researcher's goldmine, and I really thank them for their assistance in accessing these drawings. And when you look at these drawings, you really get an idea of how much goes into the design of a movie theatre or a picture theatre. In this one, on the top left-hand side, you can see that there's actually a design for a marble drinking fountain for the patrons to be built. Now, they were built. They were ice drinking fountains. The opening night for the Metro was the 6th of October 1939. Now, when you consider that this was a little over 1 month after the start of World War II, you can imagine it was certainly an uncertain time to open a new business. The opening night was officiated over by a Mr. N.B. Freeman. Freeman was the managing director of Metro Goldwyn Mayer in Australia. The design itself, every comfort had been thought about. the aforementioned iced drinking fountains for the patrons, and there was also receiving sets for deaf patrons as well. The interior was very luxurious. It had mirrored foyers, which actually reflected the luxurious fixtures and fittings, and there were tapestries hanging on the walls. So here we see a picture of the interior of the Metro in October 1939. It tells us in an article in the news on the 6th of October 1939 that the seats were a royal blue in colour and that the ceiling itself was pierced to allow starlights of lighting to appear as if they were the sky themselves. It had been insulated against noises such as rain and hail, and it was air conditioned for those very warm summer nights that we get in Adelaide. Now this picture shows the lounge and dress circle area of the Metro. At a cost of £120,000 to build, the Metro Theatre was given the title of Adelaide's Theatre of the Stars. Now this was obviously a play on words from MGM's own motto of having more stars than there are in heaven. And some of those heavenly stars from the US sent their greetings to Adelaide on the opening of the theatre. Here you can see some signatures from people such as Joan Crawford, Spencer Tracy, Myrna Loy, Virginia Bruce, Clark Gable, amongst others. CinemaScope was installed in 1955, but by 1972 the Metro Theatre was closed. Greater Union would take over the operation in 1975, and they would reopen it as the Greater Union Heine Cinema. They did a lot of work interior. The interior was gutted and refitted out to a 1970s vibe. It would also change from being a single screen to 4 screens, but that would actually increase the amount of patrons that could go and see the pictures at any time. It would increase, I think, from about 1,280 odd to around 1,500 patrons. Now, there are some photos of the conversion from the Metro to the Greater Union Heine Cinema on the State Library website. I can't share them here. They are actually under copyright, but if you are interested, please go and have a look. I will discuss the Greater Union Heine Cinemas on a different post one day. And as I said, I do remember it. It was like a blue, purpley colour. And although it sort of seemed to keep part of the traditional Art Deco design, it was covered in paint that sort of nullified it a bit, I suppose. I actually do remember going to the cinema at the Metro a couple of times. I think the carpet inside was like a purpley orange. It was very 70s, obviously. I mean, that was the year it was refurbished, so that makes sense. Thank you for your time today. I do hope you enjoyed my vlog today. I have listed the 2 parts of the interview with Alan Hall on, I think it's on the 4th slide on from here. So if you are interested, please follow those links. They are to my old blog site, Wix. I haven't yet moved those over to my new WordPress site, but certainly they are still interesting reading about the history of the cinema, and also his remembrances of cinemas in Australia or in Adelaide. Anyway, thank you. I'll see you next month. Bye bye.